Are the Rams actually having a quarterback competition for quarterback number 2? That's coming up next on Locked On Rams.
You are Locked On Rams, your daily Los Angeles Rams podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for making Locked On Rams your first listen every single day, free and available wherever you get your podcasts. My name is Travis Rogers. You can find me under my name on Twitter at Travis Rogers. And not only am I your host for Locked On Rams, but I'm also your host for your Rams pre-half and post-game show on their flagship station, ESPN 710, right here in Los Angeles. We'll, of course, have the coverage for that one coming up on Saturday afternoon, the final preseason game of the year against the Cincinnati Bengals. Of course, the Rams headed to Cincinnati earlier this week, or I should say later this week. And, of course, they're going to have some practices, some joint practices with their Super Bowl foe, Super Bowl 56 opponent, a little bit, and then we will run it back right before the start of the regular season. We got the pregame show starting for you at 1 o'clock on ESPN 710, if that is what you are into. Make sure you click that subscribe button in your podcast feed. Make sure you check us out on YouTube as well, Locked On Rams on YouTube. Aaron Donald told Peter King that he's got at least a couple more years left. What does that mean? That's coming up in just a little bit. Plus, the Rams got a new running back in the fold that they're going to play in that final preseason game. That's coming up in just a little bit as well. But let's start right here. Let's start with that quarterback competition between the QB2 right now, John Wolford, and QB 2.1. 2.6, 2.95, QB3. What is it exactly where Bryce Perkins is? I think that's something that the Rams are trying to figure out themselves. So why are they where they are? Why are they doing what they're doing? And what they're doing is they went from, hey, listen, we have all the confidence in the world in John Wolford that we believe that he's gotten enough reps with the number ones during camp, that because Matthew Stafford had a little bit of a bum elbow, we gave him enough time that by the time we get into the regular season, he should be ready to go. That was week 1 of the preseason. So we're not going to put him out there in harm's way. That way, no matter what happens, he's good to go. Everybody's fine. Okay, that's week 1. Week 2 is, we're going to take a look at him in the first week. So I asked the question to a handful of people inside and outside the organization. Hey, am I crazy that these guys are both playing in the second preseason game? Or is there an actual, hey, can we just take a look and see which one of these guys we like better kind of deal? And no one told me I was crazy. Everyone agrees that John Wolford's going to be the number 2 quarterback. Everyone agrees that Bryce Perkins is a pretty good NFL player. Everybody believes that he has a future in the NFL somewhere. They're just not quite sure where. You've asked these questions before, right? Like whenever you're making a decision, you kind of go and have that, hey, are we sure that we got the right thing? And if you get kind of those eyebrows that go up along the way, or whatever it might be, you kind of say, okay, let's take a look at these things again. The fact that they're going to do it again in the third preseason game coming up against the Cincinnati Bengals here on Saturday afternoon tells me that they two things are happening. Number one, they want to see how good Perkins really is. They want to see him play more football. They want to see him out there and just playing in a competitive environment that's not practice, that's not running the scout team, that maybe he's not with the starters. I mean, in the Rams case, nobody's really with the starters, but maybe he's with some guys that may or may not be on the team. But let's just see him play a little more football. And what we saw on the weekend against the Texans was he played pretty good football. Was it great? No. But was it noticeably worse than John Wolford? No, it wasn't. Now, Wolford was going up against starters. Wolford got sacked 5 times. And obviously, he did the best with what he was given. And he was not given a whole lot in that situation. But the fact that they're running it back again, they're one of two things. Number one, the competition thing is a real thing. Or number two, they're really trying to figure out whether or not they want to use a roster spot for Perkins. Now, he wouldn't dress on Sundays, right? He wouldn't be part of the 48. He'd be part of the 50, 54, 53, whatever it is. That he would be somebody that you would use in a pinch, but not somebody that they're willing to let someone else grab. not somebody that they're willing to think. Because listen, this is not unlike how John Wolford got this job not long ago. Remember, Blake Bortles was the backup for a while, and then John Wolford got some opportunities. They said, you know what, this isn't a bad way to do this. Maybe there's a little cost cutting. Maybe you don't have to pay somebody quite as much. Maybe there's roster manipulation, whatever it may be. This feels oddly familiar to me all over again. And the fact that they're doing it again means that they're looking at something. Now, maybe it's something they're looking at the way they each wear their socks. I don't know. It could be something totally insignificant to the casual observer. But everywhere I asked, every time I floated, I was waiting for somebody to tell me, Trav, come on, man. No. John Wolford's number 2. But that's not what it was said. It was, yeah, no, John Wolford's number 2. There's, maybe there's a little say, I don't know why they're playing him. Okay. I think I might have cracked the case. I think I might have a pretty good idea on why you would put him out there a second time right before the regular season. Because, like I said, he got sacked 5 times. That he could have gotten hurt, that a Logan Bruss situation could have taken place. They were willing to risk that was something that they were comfortable doing. Heard the explanation, hey, they cut Luis Perez. They only had 2 quarterbacks. You're not going to put Matthew Stafford out there. You don't want one guy to take every snap during the preseason. Okay, but now you're putting a guy that you're telling me is a snap away at all times from stepping in for Matthew Stafford in a team that has Super Bowl aspirations, and you're just going to change gears that quickly? We'll see. All I'm saying is John Wolford should probably play well against the Bengals, or hope that Bryce Perkins does not, or some combination of the two, or everything's fine and the Rams are going to carry 3 quarterbacks. That's a possibility too, but I think it's something that the Rams would probably rather not. Them cutting Bryson Hopkins the other day, maybe that means something along the way, but we will certainly see. It's something to keep your eye on for sure. Okay, speaking of some position battles along the way, the running back group just got a little bit more interesting heading into Saturday afternoon. That's coming up next. So I've been taking AG1, Athletic Greens, right, for maybe we're going on 4 or 5 months right now, and I wish I would have started sooner because I am feeling so much better. And why I decided to do it was there were a bunch of things that just weren't working quite the way that you'd like them to work. I wasn't sleeping as well as I want, maybe a little bit low energy late in the day. The digestive health isn't quite what it is. And you can take a bunch of different pills for a bunch of different things, or you can find all that you need in AG1. All of these things that we're talking about, you just start to feel better, whether it's gut health, whether it's more energy, an optimized immune system, and you just don't like taking all these pills. This is how AG1 fits in. Instead of all of that, it's 1 scoop of AG1 into a glass of water every day. And it's not something you have to choke back. It actually tastes really, really good. I've given it to my wife. She loves it. She's on it every single day. You got to try it for yourself. It's like investing in your own health. It's not nearly as expensive as you might think. It's less than $3 a day. So if you're buying that cup of coffee, this is a good way to do it too. No matter the way you live your life, whether it's keto, paleo, vegan, dairy-free, gluten-free, all of these things, AG1 falls right in the sweet spot. This was founded by somebody that had a ton of gut issues, and then they decided that instead of taking a complicated regimen, taking pill after pill, $100 a day, he decided to create Athletic Greens after experiencing just how difficult it was to create an optimal, I should say, nutrition regimen of your own. Here's how you can get on it, and here's how you're going to feel so much better. Right now, it's time to claim your health and arm your immune system with the convenient daily nutrition. It's just 1 scoop of water every day, AG1. You're going to love it. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. And to make it even easier, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. And all you have to do is go to athleticgreens.com/NFL Network. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/NFL Network to take ownership over your health and pick the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. And you will be pleased. I promise. Thanks again for making Locked On Rams your first listen every day. It is Fantasy Draft Week on the Locked On Podcast Network, so make Locked On Fantasy Football your second listen. Fantasy expert Vinny Eiler, who brings over 20 years of NFL experience and a unique angle to give you the moves no one else has. Get ready for your fantasy draft with Locked On Fantasy Football. All right, I think I said Bryson Hopkins cut. I meant Kendall Blanton, of course, earlier there. The Kendall Blanton gone, Bryson Hopkins still there. Misspoke. Wanted to clean that up just a little bit. Okay, so let's talk about another position battle that I think there's some real. Again, this is not unlike the quarterback battle where Matthew Stafford's number 1. And then Wolford's number 2, probably, right? And then Perkins is number 3. I think that you can have a pretty clear-cut situation where Cam Akers is the number 1 back, Darrell Henderson is the number 2 back, and then there's some competition for whether it's Jake Funk or somebody that we're going to see here on Saturday afternoon against the Bengals, Kyren Wiiliams, the rookie out of Notre Dame. He had been hurt earlier in camp. He did not play in the first 2 games, but we found out that he is going to play on Saturday against the Bengals. And there is a huge opportunity here for him. Look, he's not going to jump to RB1 after one preseason game, but he can go with somebody who's down the depth chart to somebody who's got a real chance very, very quickly. Here's how. Both Darrell Henderson and Cam Akers have all sorts of trouble staying on the field. They both have really struggled finding ways to stay in the starting lineup, to stay out of the trainer's room, to stay off of injured reserve, whatever it may be. Both of these guys are good football players that have a little bit of the injury bug, and it's happening again right now. Both of them dealing with soft tissue injuries, neither one of them playing in the preseason, neither one of them really participating a whole lot in practice over the last week or so. This is an opportunity. This is what happens. Think about the way that we started talking about Lance McCutcheon over the last couple of weeks. We weren't talking about Lance McCutcheon coming into the season. We weren't even talking about him potentially making a team. He was a guy that was there for practice, for roster space. This was somebody that maybe if everything breaks right, you got a chance to stick to the practice squad. Well, he might make the team. And why? Because he balled out in a couple of preseason games. And obviously he's playing well in practice, and obviously he's got to be a good special teamer. But the point is, if you show up at those practice or those preseason games and you can make people turn their head a little bit, and you can make people say, wait, that was Wiiliams? Okay, let's see it again. Give him the ball again. And that way, when the inevitable seemingly comes around again, and Darrell Henderson is on the rack, and Cam Akers is on the rack, and maybe Jake Funk doesn't get going the way that Sean McVay would like to see him get going. Give the ball to Wiiliams. Let's see if he can do in the preseason or in the regular season what he did in the preseason. It's not totally out of left field that he could go out there and play against a good team, and we'll see how Cincinnati plays. It probably won't have a bunch of their guys out there, if any. But if he can make a little bit of noise, it's just that much easier to start putting him in regular season competition, to just give him a chance. Look, these are what guys that get drafted late in the draft need. They need, in order, you need to make the team, okay? You need to be healthy. Well, it seems likely that he's going to make the team. It's likely that he's healthy right now. And the last thing you need to do is, when you are given your opportunities, however few and far between they may be, that you make them pop. And that's where he is. He's got to make him pop right now. He's got to make him pop in practice. He's got to make him pop in the dual practice against the Bengals this week. He's got to make him pop on Saturday afternoon. So when he gets a chance, whether it's in week 2 when they're playing the Atlanta Falcons, who appear to be dreadful, and maybe the Rams have a big lead, or whatever the situation may be, and he gets out there and he gets a chance, and hey, was that a 6-yard run? Was that an 8-yard run? Is that a 3? I mean, all of a sudden you get an opportunity, and let's give it to him again. Let's give it to him again. Let's give it to him again. And I think that's where he could be in this opportunity right now, where he's knocked down that could be make the team, be healthy, and take advantage of your opportunities. And that's what it feels like he is right now. Against the Cincinnati Bengals this weekend, what does they say? Luck is where opportunity meets preparation. Well, your opportunity is right here. Let's find out whether or not he's prepared. All right, Aaron Donald says 2 more seasons with the Rams at least. What does that mean for the Rams in the short term? That's coming up next on Locked On Rams. As you gear up for fall, you need the right people on your team to help your small businesses fire on all cylinders, and LinkedIn Jobs is here to make it easier for you to find the people that you want to talk to faster and for free, right? If you've gone through the hiring process, you know how hard it can be, how time-consuming it can be, and do you always find the right guy, the right woman? Well, maybe not. Create a job post in just minutes on LinkedIn Jobs to reach your network and beyond to the world's largest professional network of over 810 million people. Simple tools like screening questions make it easy to focus on the candidates with just the right skills and experience, so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and hire. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the candidates you want to talk to faster. Did you know that every week nearly 40 million job seekers visit LinkedIn? Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com BetOnline.ag/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. All right, so we talk about the window quite a bit, right? When we're talking about regards to the Rams. And the Rams window is kind of like a three-headed monster right now with varying degrees of which part of the window is most important. The window, of course, consists of Sean McVay, Matthew Stafford, and Aaron Donald. We could argue all day long on which parts of those three guys are the most important part to the window. I honestly think it's probably Sean McVay personally, then followed by Matthew Stafford, and very, very closely behind him, Aaron Donald. And you wouldn't have to work very hard to convince me that Aaron Donald's ahead of Matthew Stafford, which is why when Aaron Donald started talking about his time in the league, how much time he has left, I started paying a lot of attention. This is what he said to Peter King. I got a 2-year commitment right now, so I'm going to do everything I can while I'm here to help the organization win and be successful. I'm going to last as long as I can play at a high level. Okay, so a couple of things. Number one, by all accounts, and, coming from people both inside the organization and outside of it, Aaron Donald has had a camp that even by his standards is extraordinary. So he's motivated, he's ready to go, and it does not seem like there's going to be any Super Bowl fog from him heading into the regular season. That he is motivated to play 2 more years is very, very good news for Rams fans. Let me just throw this at you and tell me what you think about this. Think about the Los Angeles Lakers right now. They are in a spot where basically they're trying to do everything they can to grab another title before LeBron James retires or leaves, right? And more than likely retires because he's starting year 20 here in a few weeks. And he's still an incredible player. He averaged 30 points a game last year. But the Lakers are in a weird spot. Every decision that the Lakers make has to be made through the prism of how much longer is LeBron James going to be LeBron James? How much longer is he going to be here? How much longer is he going to want to do this? All of those things. And they've put themselves in a position where they have to do it in the short term because the long term without LeBron, there are no picks left. There's no assets. Their other best player is injury prone and everything else, right? This is not me morphing into the Cam Brothers territory on the Lakers. This is me just kind of setting the table for what potentially the Rams are thinking about when it comes to Aaron Donald. Couple of things here. Number one, who knows what anybody's going to feel like in 2 years? Number two, who knows what type of player Aaron Donald's going to be in 2 years? I think he'll be really good. I think he'll probably be, Pro Bowl caliber player. But is he still Aaron Donald? It would be unlikely that he is. It would be unlikely that a player at that point going into double digits in his career as far as years is still the most dominating physical force in the league at that position. Doesn't work like that. Quarterbacks, sure, you can have a run like that. There might be a position or two other where you can maybe survive, really not very kicker, maybe. But defensive end is not just, or defensive tackle in Aaron Donald's case, it takes an incredible toll on your body. It is as much of a physical game as it is a mental one at that point. You need to be really smart and understand schemes and tactics and techniques and everything else. But you also have to be really quick and strong and fast and all those things to take advantage of what it is that you know. And those things are going to start to diminish for Aaron Donald over the course of the next 2 years. So if you're Les Snead, if you're Sean McVay, and you're thinking about how do we want to make this thing go over the next couple of seasons, you may be thinking, look, we have the best defensive player in full. Their defense is built around Aaron Donald. Yes, you have Bobby Wagner. Yes, you have Jalen Ramsey. You have an all-pro player at all 3 levels of your defense. But if Aaron Donald isn't Aaron Donald, the rest of it becomes far more complicated very, very quickly. Do you do everything you can to win this season, next season, or whatever Aaron Donald thinks his window in? Or do you want to avoid the LeBron situation where, look, I got nothing cooking beyond this. I have to start considering what it is I'm going to do in 2024, 2025, 2028. I can't keep kicking the can down the road. Aaron Donald's going to be great this year. Aaron Donald will be great next year. But that bill is going to come due at some point. And if you've pushed that debt all the way into whether it's draft debt, whether it's salary cap debt, whatever it is, at some point you're going to need to borrow on that. And if it's not there, what do? Go for it. It's what they did last year, right? They went for it. Super teams are not supposed to work. You're not supposed to say, I'll take your best player, your best player, your best player. We'll put them all together and see what happens. That team does not typically win a championship. And that's exactly what the Rams were able to do. Why not try to do it again? because you're not finding another Aaron Donald. You're not going to find somebody that you can just say, okay, we'll draft another. No, you're not going to draft another one. You're not going to draft another maybe best defensive player in the history of the league. You're going to have to find a different way to do it. I believe Sean McVay can. I believe that Les Snead can, but you need to at least have the moves available to you if and when that day comes. And it's definitely a when and not an if. All right, that's going to do it for this edition of Locked On Rams. Make sure you check us out every single day. Now make Locked On Fantasy Football your second listen. Find the intellectual fantasy expert, Vinny Eiler, who brings over 20 years of NFL experience and unique angles to give you the moves no one else has. Get ready for your fantasy draft with Locked On Fantasy Football. Until next time, whose house? It's Locked On Rams house.